Watching this Brooklyn game.
Yeah, we're good now. All right. Sorry for the delays out there.
Oh no,
Peace, HH. That's all right. Peace, HHDG. This is another episode of HHDG Media, the podcast. And tonight we have coming at a VA, a man of many tasks and talents, Poe Mack. How you doing, Poe Mack?
I'm doing all right, man. It's been a wild week, wild month already. A lot of different things going on, but I'm glad to be on the cast, man. And was good.
Doing good. Normally, when we have a guest on there, we like for them to tell a little bit about themselves. So I'm going to hand it over to you briefly.
All right, I'm originally out of Roanoke, Virginia. I've been doing this for about 24 years now, but more on a professional level in the past probably 15 years. As far as like touring, I'm Emcee first. I got into producing because I couldn't get nobody to send me beats, so I learned how to make beats. And then like I got into DJing a little bit even in the past few years, and I've been an audio engineer for professionally for about 16 years. So
nice.
Got my hands in quite a few things.
Hmm.
And so I mean we could go a lot of directions right now, but yeah,
that's all good. It's all good. Now, you mentioned in engineering. You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Yeah, you mentioned in engineering, so this is not something new for you. From what you were just mentioning, it's almost 2 decades now that you've been doing this. So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, like I couldn't. I was having bad experiences going in studios, and people, making me pay for like subpar work and this and that. So that's what got me into learning engineering. And the crazy thing is, my aunt's Jane L. Powell. She's a retired jazz singer. She would always bring me things back off the road, like little pieces of equipment to learn. And that's how I got my first little Tascam 4-track. I had no idea what it was. Like, I just thought it was just a mixer with a tape player on it. And I'm like, what's this? And then I realized I could layer tracks. And then that's how I got into like recording myself. Cause like when I first started recording myself, I was using like an old school boom box with a Discman with a tape adapter running in it, and a little Radio Shack mic and a little front input, and putting together little demo tapes like that all the way back in 1997.
Wow.
So that was like the beginnings of engineering.
Gotcha. So it was more so of not just bad business, but more of you actually developing even more talents.
Yeah, like because at the end of the day, like I did, this is an expensive game to be in. Like it's like I'll tell people whether it's a profession or a hobby, like it's the most expensive hobby you can have. Like so anything you can learn to cut overhead is essential. And so so that's where I've always now I try to do graphics, man. I can't do graphics worth a damn. So I've leave that part alone. But anything you can learn to try to save money but maintain quality, is essential. And so that's where, and then when I realized once I got like, what I would consider good at engineering, then I started like taking in clients and then just like took off from there and started making a living doing that. I don't record as many people anymore because most of my music income really comes from like selling beats and doing shows like and I have a home studio and I work for a professional studio where or it's owned by a bluegrass musician actually.
Oh, okay.
Five Press and Recording.
Nice. So you're also an MC. So being that comes with the writing, was there anyone in your family that was an MC prior to? Because I know you have other family, like your aunt is a singer, and your grandfather's also a musician. Correct? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I can tell you this research. Yeah, no, yeah, my aunt, I always consider my aunt an MC, even though she's a singer, because the way she would work crowds, I really studied the way she would just individually work crowds, like in her audience, it was like never anybody not included. Like like
Okay.
like she was really just worked the crowd and see, I first started going on the road with her when I was 15 years old. I mean,
Oh.
basically, she was just like kind of just trying to keep me out the streets. And so
Mm-hmm.
she brought me on the roads like a roadie, and then I would sell her merch. And so, and that was before I even wrote a rap. Like, I didn't write a rap until I was 17 years old. And, but being around that environment and growing up around her and then getting that opportunity to go out, she was the first person that put me on a stage when I was 17 at a college. It was at a all women's college too. So like I'm sure like 17, like oh my god, like this is the first gig, and it's like all these college women around, and I'm a high school junior at the time, so it was like a candy shop. but yeah, that was so that taught me a lot. Just watching her, because I did a lot of stage shows before I even recorded anything that was like worth claiming, so to speak. Like I recorded some stuff, but it wasn't until I was hitting the stage in '97, but it wasn't until 2003 that I actually recorded something that I still would sell to somebody this day. So. But that was so as far as like MC inspiration, like she was number one, and then I like as far as like a rapper inspiration though, like Nas is like my favorite rapper. And then I always like the stage presence of Tupac. So it's like, because I always say if you could take Nas and a Tupac and mesh them, because Tupac wasn't necessarily like the lyricist, but he had a presence in what he said.
Right.
But Nas, I consider Nas like the ultimate lyricist. He's not the best at picking beats, but he's the ultimate lyricist.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to continue to say that until he does it right.
Even though the joint he did, though, the King's Disease, that was on point.
Yeah, it was.
So I enjoyed that.
Yeah. I would say he bridges a gap with the sound with that from the audience that known him for decades with the younger audience currently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was definite.
Yeah. Now, what kind of music did your aunt sing?
Primarily jazz, R&B. She actually she's been into a lot of things, because she's been in a couple of movies, like not like huge roles, but I don't know if you ever seen The Bachelor by Chris O'Donnell and Mariah Carey. Came out back in '99.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember the black lady that walked up to the table singing and he asked her to go away, that's her. So it's like I mean, it's like they pretty much like they paid her like 20 bands for a part that lasted maybe like 3 minutes.
Can't beat that.
She still gets some respect
That's
from
what I was gonna say. That's what I was about to ask you.
Like 3 weeks ago, I actually took and deposited a couple of small checks that still came from the old New Line Cinema. Whoever bought them out now.
Wow.
So yeah.
So, any other influences in the family?
I mean, of course, my grandfather. My grandfather gave me so many jewels before he passed away. He would always. Now, my grandfather, his middle name was Stoneworth, and if you ever see my Stoneworth album, that's uh, why I named it that, because it was totally inspired by him. He would just always just randomly would just drop me these jewels, and that's where my aunt learned a lot of her stuff from, because she was following him around since she was 3 years old,
There
and
you
and,
go.
and then he would see things that I was. She passed that on to me, but at the same time, he would see things that I'm doing, and he would be like, he would always call me by my middle name, which is Christopher. He was like, "Hey, Christopher, let me tell you something." He's like, "Make sure that you own all of your own equipment." He was like, do not fall totally dependent upon another individual. He said, "I'm not telling you to not collaborate with anybody and this or that," but he was like, "Always make sure you got your own thing to fall back on, because you can't, totally depend on people." And so that stuck with me, and I've lived by that. So I'm forever thankful for that. My mother passed away a few months ago, but my mother was the most persistent person that I've ever known, and I got her persistence. Just don't take no for an answer, but research and just keep going, and that's number one thing I got from her. So those are my main inspirations.
Cool. So
Like
you
like that,
def go ahead.
I'm sorry. Now, producer wise, we get it. Producer wise, I was really originally inspired by Dr. Dre and DJ Premier, and I always was like, well, what happens if you take Dre's sound and Premier's sound and kind of mesh them? And that's the way I first approached beats. And for my 18th birthday, my aunt bought me my first beat machine, which was a Roland PMA5, which I actually still have. And and if you see a PMA5's little touch screen about the size of old school Game Boy,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I would hook that up to had a Yamaha keyboard that I would run in to trigger that. And then I had one of those Yamaha little blue SU10 samplers that I would have the PMA5 trigger that. And that's when I first started sampling. And that was because I was just composing things, and then I started sampling back in 2000. And then it kind of went on from there to Fruity Loops. And I did use Fruity Loops for a long time. And then I got a deal on Machine by Native Instruments,
Mm-hmm.
and I used Machine for a decade before finally, when the pandemic hit, I decided to just go all in, and I just started buying Akai products. So I bought two MPCs in the middle of the pandemic and learned those, and so that I really love the MPC. That's my baby now. So.
Okay. So which equipment did you use for the project Warranty?
Now, Warranty actually was produced by my guy out in Montana.
Oh, okay.
No, Wyoming. I always
Okay.
get a guy named Stal Freehan. I met him through a beat battle that we were in, and I had beat him one time, and then he came back and beat me good one night. And so when I was listening to I was listening to the beats he beat me with, and I was like, I want to rap on those. And so he ended up sending me the tracks, and then we put together the EP pretty quick. He sent me the tracks. I laced them up in 4 days, and then we had Warranty, because I wasn't sitting around doing nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
I was literally just sitting at the crib in Warren during the whole pandemic, and so and not to speak on it like it's over, but kind of being on the back end of it. But I was in the crib, and there was nothing to do but really create, and so I'd sit around and make a lot of beats, but also at the same time rap on some other folks' beats too. And So that's how Warranting came about.
Okay.
I definitely like working with other producers. Like it actually like because I had to take a break from like my own beats. Like and it was difficult for a while for me to rap over my own beats. I don't know why. It was just kind of like I guess because I'm just hearing myself a lot, and so it's like I had to like kind of step out of that box.
Okay.
But once I got on like the MPC though, because like I produced my newest album, Tamarack Lane. I produced half of that, and that was
Yeah, I
all
think
like, the MPC.
there was like 5 or 6 tracks, right?
Yeah, five tracks.
Yeah.
And then I got my guy MH. He was the one that produced all of Stoneworth. He produced 2 tracks on Tamarack Lane,
Mm.
and Drugs Beats, which I did. Me and Drugs that did 3 whole projects together. He produced
Right.
2 joints
Yep.
on Tamarack Lane, and the one Drugs project that kind of gets lost is Poe Mack because like Poe Mack is like it's harder to find online because I didn't like I had it up somewhere and I need to repost it again to be honest with you. Like, but you can easily find Poe Mack on Drugs 1 and 2. But Poe Mack was like a street tape. It was originally sponsored by KevinNottingham.com when that was around.
Yeah.
And so like once that went down, like the tape was kind of like lost, but like I'll end up putting it out again in some form later.
Yeah, I discovered a lot of music through that website.
Oh yeah, no, KevinNottingham.com was they really like supported me like real hard when they was in existence, and then he kind of just like went off the grid.
Yeah. Now with what you told us about your family history, it seems I would no, I'm sorry, it wouldn't seem it shows that they dropped a lot of jewels for you, not just in the musical aspect, but in the business aspect.
Yeah,
So how much has that helped you with your own label, Maxstrumental Audio?
a lot, and not that I haven't made any mistakes. Because mistakes are our best teachers. So like when I first started Maxstrumental, it was actually back in 2010, and it was originally Maxstrumental Records, and I had a collection of some really dope artists. Now I'm a workaholic, and so I think my expectations of the artists were actually too high at the time. Because when I say I'm a workaholic, like I mean it's to the point of almost stupidity, like because like I'm like a really like 24-hour like when I first started engineering, like just learning engineering, like I would stay up like 36 hours at a time
Mm.
just to try to get like something right, and and I would expect that crazy work ethic out of people I was getting with, and not even realizing I'm like, all right, that's insanity. I mean, even hearing it out of my mouth now, because I can't even do that no more. I'm 41 now. Like that was 21-year-old me, and so like with those expectations, like I think like it's like people weren't really meeting lows at the time, and it was a little unfair to them. And so like I had dissolved the label for a while, but then I brought it back. But like when I brought it back, I was playing making it more producer centered and not as many MCs because there's a lot of rappers now, like
Hmm.
and there's a lot of dope rappers. Like I'll tell you all day, like there's always like the one mistake I haven't made in the past couple of years that I would make when I was younger is always thinking I'm like, oh, the dopest rapper, this and that, because there's always somebody doper at you doper than you at what you do. Like it's just the way of the world. So right now it's me and Case Jaffa, which he's my best friend. That's my ace. Like we're like the artists, and then we have MH still producing. My man Style Freeing that did Warranting, and myself doing a mass load of the production. And so, but as far as like the artists, me and Case Jaffa, which I mean, Case, he's been with me since the beginning, like this whole ride of my music career. So like, it's only proper that he's around, and to be quite frank, like he's the most honest person I've ever had in my circle.
Okay.
Like by far, like none close. Like I mean, tells me how it is. Like I mean, like he'll go down in the fire with me, and it won't tell me why we're burning in front of people, but he'll damn sure pull me to the side and be like, "This is why we're on fire."
Cool. Now, being that you're from Roanoke, Virginia, I'm not too familiar with the hip hop scene out there, but I know that you did have an exhibit on the history out there. So tell the people a little bit about that.
Well, there's a man named Jared Soares. Jared Soares, he did a lot of freelancing for the local newspaper here. He's worked for the Washington Post. He's gotten around. The kind of backtrack to give you a little bit of history how I led into this. He does a lot of freelance projects, and he came to me originally back in, it was like 2010, 2011, and he was like, I want to do like some stories, but like through like pictures, visual. I'm like, all right, cool. So at that time, I actually had a tour coming up that involved. We used to do these tours called Middle East Mic Fest tour, and I happened to meet Ninth Wonder, which we'll get into that too. I happened to meet Ninth Wonder, and Jared decided to follow me on that tour, and so like that relationship from 10 years back developed into the museum exhibit, because they decided, the museum here, the Taubman Museum, brought him in and was like, they saw his work for years, and was like, could you bring a hip hop exhibit here? And so he had a chance to bring us photography, do a presentation. They had a performance by myself, and it was pretty cool. Like it was cool being in a museum in my hometown, because like I paid a lot of dues here, and it was like it was like finally kind of getting your flowers after like 20 years, and so that was cool. I was very humbled by that, like because that my aunt's a legend in Roanoke, Virginia, and so like and I've always kind of been in that shadow, and that was like really like a breakout moment for me, because I mean I still haven't done half the things that she's done, and so that was kind of like my breakout, and that was a cool time.
True inspiration. Yes, indeed. Now, around 2003 is when you really was the emceeing is when you took that seriously. Was the following year when that was your first project put out?
Well, I had put out a project back in. I was putting together like these compilations since 1998, but I always marked 2003 because I didn't have my sound quality together until like 03. But I had but I would record all my homies, and way back like in 98, like when CDRs were really expensive, CDRs are like 15, $20. And so if you burn one wrong, it was just like throwing $20 in the trash can. And so I was like literally burning CDs on one of those manual CD decks then, and that's how we was getting our CDs going. But 2003, that was the year I did a Poetic Mischief, which was day 3 Poetic Mischief, and that which actually it's on my Bandcamp at poemack.bandcamp.com. That was the point where I started really putting together my own shows and getting out and selling CDs. And I mean I was sitting in the crib mass producing these things. My aunt, she would buy me a piece of musical equipment every year for my birthday. And that year, she got me a duplicator that would burn 5 CDs at a
Yeah,
time.
at one time. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I got that, and that was how I put together. Between that and when you could go to Staples or Office Max and get like the little CD cards to print, like I was going through all these ink cartridges and printers, printing hundreds of these things, and we was like putting these together, and so I put together 100 at a time and go out and sell them. And
Yep.
so that was back 03, 04.
Mm. Yeah, early 2000. I was working with the Geek Squad at Best Buy,
Oh, okay.
and they actually had, which a lot of artists now are trying to sell it like it's exclusive, the vinyl CDRs. They look like vinyl on top. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to rack up on those. I used to get a nice discount on those CDRs back then.
I used to love those. Those were they by verbatim?
Yep, there you go, verbatim. Yeah.
I was going into the one thing I loved was going into Sam's Club back in the day, because the Sam's Club in Roanoke started carrying the printable CDRs.
Mhm.
And once they did that, I was like, oh man, because they was having for great prices. Like,
Yeah.
spend a little $100 for $20. That was the thing. So then I really started mass producing CDs for other people.
Mm.
And because people, the thing is, the cool thing was putting out my own music and putting it together. And this is how I actually got my studio business jumping off, because people would see it and they were like, well, man, I want that. And so I'm like, well, how much does that cost? And then I didn't think about it until I got asked, and I was like, well, this is what it costs. And then all of a sudden it spawned into a business.
There you go.
But the touring stuff, I mean, we get back into that.
Sorry.
2006, I did an album called The Greatest Unknown, and I actually posted that to my Bandcamp recently. The Greatest Unknown, that was like the first like mini tour that I put together. I titled it after the album, and it was regional, but what we would do is me and Case would go out and meet people at different like conferences, or we would just travel and go to people's shows randomly, like MySpace days. And so like we'd look and see who was putting on a show on MySpace, and it didn't matter whether it was 7 or 8 hours, we would drive there just to shake a hand. Mm-hmm. And so when it was popping up at these places, we'd be like, well, you know what? Like, you bring us here, we'll bring you to our town. And we did that in like 5 or 6 different cities. All of a sudden we had a little tour together. And so then we kept operating like that for a few years. And then that kind of went into this tour that we had called VA Strong, which was with a couple other brothers. His brother named John Witness, good brother. We did a lot together, and he was like a big orchestrator in this VA Strong tour, where we literally went to all the different corners of VA, because VA is very divided. Like you have like the 757 like down by the beach, you have the Richmond area, and then you have Southwest and Central Virginia, where like I'm at, and like basically like the east side of the state don't claim the west. Like if the east side of the state could throw the west away, they would. Like, and so we was really like doing like a literally a unity thing to hit all these corners of the state. And so when I saw the way that came together, that's when the Middle East Mike Fest tour concept came about. Because we was like, well, if we did this, let's get a whole mid-Atlantic representation between Virginia and North Carolina, put our resources together between Virginia, North Carolina, and DC, like DMV, and like let's take this thing up and down the East Coast.
Yeah.
So that it turned into that. The crazy thing though, right after that happened, I was doing an interview with AYP Magazine down in Wilmington, North Carolina, and in this interview, I started specifically saying, I was like, I said, we rep in the Middle East, and I said, Ninth Wonder, if you ever hear this, I'm like, let's do something. And at the time, I ain't gonna lie, at the time I was just feeling myself running off at the mouth.
Mhm.
Well, next thing you know it, a couple months later, I end up meeting them, and then we're doing the Middle East Mike Fest tour together the following year.
Wow.
And the way that kind of came about, me and Case, we was organizing these shows in Virginia and North Carolina. We expanded. So like as when we went to Chapel Hill, we had the show booked in Chapel Hill, and so like we were into like always just trying to book the dopest acts that were available in these towns. Because even in the Middle East Mike Fest concept, when we would go to these towns, we would find the dopest act in that city and get them on the lineup. And so when we went to Chapel Hill, Case was like, look, he's like, King Mez, which I don't know if you're familiar. Well, he's just Mez now.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Like he was like we was paying attention to Mez, and this was before anybody really knew who Mez was, but he was blog popular, like he was on DJ Booth, and so like and he was dope. So it was like, all right. And the funny thing is, he wasn't even like old enough to get in most of the venues at the time. Like we had to get an 18 and up venue just so you could get in, and so like we booked Mez and we booked Rhapsody, and like now this was back when you could get Rhapsody for like $200. That ain't happening no more. But so
it was strictly Cooley High, right?
Yeah. So we had Mez, Rhapsody, Poe, Lazarus, like all these dope acts from like North Carolina on one bill in Chapel Hill. And this hadn't happened since. I am proud of this because I look at the Carolina lineups, I haven't seen a lineup as dope as that since. Like, especially considering where some of these people went after that. And so like that night, I'm in there now. I'm sometimes just kind of like an airhead and like not aware of the things I should be aware of. So like, a celebrity could walk in the room and I might not know who the hell he is. And then somebody has to point it out to me. I'm like, oh yeah, this is that cat. And so this was one of those moments because like I'm chilling and like Ninth Wonder walks in the room and like honestly didn't know who the hell he was at the time. Like I knew what he was and knew his work, but visually,
face wise, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like Case is kind of like lip syncing from the stage. He said, yo, that's Ninth Wonder right there. And so I'm like, oh, okay, word. So like, I go up and introduce myself and this and that. And then like his vice president of his label came up to me in the middle of the show and was like, yo, did you put this together? Because like I had like the banner up and literally on the banner I had like the list of artists, everybody that was included from each city that we did. So like I had Nicholas F. from Richmond. I don't know if you're familiar with Nicholas F.
Yes.
But I had Nick F. on there, which me and him, we've done a couple shows together. I had rapper Big Pooh up there because I had brought him to Roanoke and just all these different people. And so Vince from Jamla said, hey, Poe Mack, he was like, me and Ninth think you're a genius at what you're doing here. And it was like, we want to know if we can, get together and do something. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, well, I got this next Middle East Mike Fest tour coming up. And they're like, we want to get, some of these Jamla artists out and more show experience at the time. Because it was 2011 when they was really getting things like kicked off. So we was like, cool. So we came in as a collaboration and did the Middle East Mike Fest tour 2011. And the crazy thing is, at the time, Mac Miller had picked up Rhapsody on his tour, so we wasn't even sure whether we was going to get Rhapsody. And so she ended up coming off the tour and joining the Middle East Mike Fest, which was crazy cool. And the crazy thing though, I wasn't even sure whether it was going to happen because like they Ninth would invite me down to Bright Lady Studio, which is the studio in Raleigh, and I would start going down there on like these Tuesday nights, and would be chilling in there. And so like I didn't have like a big budget or nothing, and so like I gave the proposal that I literally could afford, like the to assure, because I didn't want just his artist, I wanted him there DJing too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I knew it was kind of a long shot, and so I threw out my proposal. He looks at his computer and he turns around. He was like, "Bet I'll be there." So I'm like, "All right, cool." Like, so he ended up making like most of the dates, and so we ended up hitting. I know like Apache Cafe, like that was we that was packed. People spilling outside, like that was a real dope night. We put together this one show that we called the Homecoming, that was in Winston-Salem because that's his hometown,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the first time he had been back in a while, and so that sold out. So that was really cool, and so that thing with doing that with Ninth Wonder actually kind of like that was like a value boost for me, especially like when he went up on 102 Jams in Greensboro, which is a big station in this region. Like at one time, I mean, it was like top 5 hip hop stations in the country at one time, and they he went up on the radio and said, they asked him what he's doing next. He said, I'm doing something with Poe Mack out of Roanoke. And so like
That's all it took.
yeah, all of a sudden, like, that raised my price on some things, and I started making a little bit more money. And
that's great hearing it from him.
so that really popped off. Now I got exhausted from doing that tour because the problem was being an artist and a promoter at the same time. And so that tour took a lot out of me. And then I ended up like taking a break from the road for like a couple of years after that. Like, and I met a lot of cool people, but it was just exhausting. And so I took that break and like we did a lot of stuff locally. And then when I got back on the road, it actually was with Cesar Comanche from Justice League. And
Nice.
and so Cesar, we ended up developing a really, really like good relationship, and that got me back into like touring, and like shouts to him because like he was never. See, the thing is when you meet some of these people that are like been out there, like some people are selfish, and I'll say rightfully selfish, protecting their spot and this and that. He was like a really open book, like because anytime any promoter that was met, he would like introduce me to, and like he never carried me in a way of always trying to keep me like under him. He always like was like, look, like meet this person so you could go back and do business with them. And so I always respected him for that. And so that really got me back into touring real heavy on a whole nother level, to where like I started getting more like national with it. And all the way up to like, what's going on today. The cool part of how things come full circle, which, we put this encrypted commercial out, and like, you're the first person I'll actually just full blown say this to. Like, if people look at the commercial, they can figure it out. But like me and him have a collaboration project together that's coming out, and we don't have a date on it yet, but it's done. Like the album's done.
Oh man,
and
that's dope.
it's produced. The producers on it, I don't know if you saw the commercial, but the producers on it include Superstition. He produced a track. Ninth Wonder produced 3 tracks. Crisis produced 3 or 4 tracks. DJ Flash, DK out of Nova Scotia. It's pretty crazy, and that's coming soon. So
that's dope. I think he might have mentioned it maybe a few days ago, or like in the weekend, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know about all those producers though.
Yeah. No, it was the funny part about it is and this is a story I hadn't like told. Like I when I was talking to Cesar one day, and this is like beginning of the pandemic, and I was like, "Hey man, we should do a project together." Now, when I was approaching him about that, I was talking about just like sending them beats and just producing a project.
Okay.
Well, like he comes back at me, he was like, "Yeah," he's like, "Matter of fact, let me sing you some beats," and I'm like, "Okay," like it was in a whole different direction than my approach was. And then so he sends me his beats like, "Yo, write to this." So I write to it, record, and then he was like, "Yo, yeah, this is joint by Ninth Wonder that he made up in the studio like a year ago." We was sitting there. I'm like, "Okay." So then he sent me some more, and
Wow.
then it just like popped off.
That's amazing.
So it's been a journey.
It's still a beautiful thing that turned out, right?
Yeah. No, it's yeah, man. Like it's very boom bap eccentric, like very like which I've kind of been all over the place a little bit, like on some projects, but like I've came back to my roots, like in the past couple years, really getting some hardcore boom bap records because that's just what I love.
Mhm.
Is boom bap, so and I've got to meet some brothers in the past couple years that we got some projects together, like Quan Star. That's my dude. Like I met Quan Star through Case, and because we had collaborated on something for Case's project, the Boom Baptist, which you can get that at maxterminal.com. And
Mhm.
Quan and like me and Quan got to talking, and we just like hit it off, and so like we got a whole project together too that I produced that will hit sometime soon. Quan Star got so many projects that's just kind of in the line in the line of them, but it's definitely coming though. He's such a talented artist.
He is. He definitely got that his nice little setup going with the last album that came out to tie in with the
Oh
whole
yeah,
series.
and I actually I did I mixed and mastered that album, and so that was it was cool. Like I was like listening to it as a fan,
Mhm.
but as an engineer at the same time. So it was cuts I hadn't heard. So I was like, oh man, this is dope. And I get so caught up listening to the cut. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be mixing this.
Shout out to Quan Star for linking us up for this interview as well.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Because he was like, yo, he's like, man, you gotta talk to this brother, man. He's a good brother, man. And so yeah, no, definitely shout out to Quan, man.
Definitely appreciate that. And being that we talking about someone from Georgia, let's talk about your other ties with Georgia. Yamin Somali.
I mean, now I'm gonna tell you actually where I first met this brother. Like going back to the Middle East Mike Fest, the first one we did in 2010 was we wanted to make sure that we was putting on dope people from
Mhm.
their location. So when we came to Atlanta, we did if you remember Lenny's. Oh, Lenny's I can't remember what part of Atlanta it was in, but
Yeah, I
Len,
don't think I remember Lenny's.
Lenny's was a hole in the wall. It was like a big hole in the wall though. I mean, they at the time, I mean, they was letting us smoke weed on stage and everything. It was like that type of vibe. And Lenny's we had we brought down the people that was on our tour, but we also had Clandestine on the show, which I met him. And we had Kato on there before he blew up. And
Wow.
funny story about that is before Yellow Wolf blew up, we was referred like Yellow Wolf was looking for shows at the time, and we was like, oh man, we ain't got no room on the lineup. And then like 3 years later, I'm like, oh yeah, we had room.
Wow.
Yeah, so so yeah, no, that's how far back me and Yamin go, and then also we linked up at Virginia Tech because he's good buddies with this DJ that runs the hip hop studies up at Virginia Tech, and so
Nice.
we're linking up there too, and he's just a good guy, man, like talented brother, man, talented on a lot of ends.
A lot, yes.
Yeah. And so I was glad to have him a part of the project, like of Tamarack Lane. Like he really came through, and he's a dope DJ, dope beat maker, DJ. Like he's
Just all around.
a
Yeah.
dope artist. Like always has been. So that and like also other people in Georgia, like Fort Knox. Oh, that's a good brother. He hosted our Middle East Mike Fest show at Apache Cafe. And Methuselah, you familiar with Methuselah?
It sounds familiar, but I'm not really sure.
Because he helped orchestrate. Now he's Zulu, Universal Zulu Nation. He helped orchestrate a lot of that Apache Cafe stuff too, and so yeah, nah, man. Like Atlanta, actually, I'm trying to remember the radio station. I think it was 90.3 or .1. Like it was over at Georgia Tech, their radio station, where I did an interview there a couple years ago, and so like before the pandemic, like I started building up like even more like Atlanta ties, and I actually can't wait to make it back down to Atlanta because I had some people move down there, and I have some unfinished business in Georgia, but I always love coming to Georgia.
That's dope, man. Yeah, since we talking about certain people that are on your new album, Tamarack Lane, let's go into the album.
All right.
Now, I was looking up the actual name, and I see that there's actually quite a bit of areas in Virginia with that's that street name.
Yes.
Which I found kind of interesting. But you tell us about it for you as far as with your music and this album and the reintroduction of your label.
Well, Tamarack Lane is the street that I have most of my childhood memories on. It's in Salem, Virginia, which Salem, Virginia is a town connected to Roanoke, Virginia. It's where I currently live, actually. Tamarack Lane is where my grandparents they own a home up there. The home is now owned by my aunts. Like they, the only owners of it. All my childhood memories are there. Like I wrote my first rap on Tamarack Lane, and so like it's literally taking it all back to the roots, and that's what Tamarack Lane represents. Like just taking it all back to the roots. And to be honest with you, like I was originally, I didn't know what I wanted to call the new album, and me and Case was sitting there, and Case was like, well, since this is going to be such, really a homegrown project for you, he was like, call it Tamarack Lane. And so I credit him for the idea of actually establishing that name. So yeah, it was just all about just taking it back to the roots, and it was the first album that I've recorded since my mother passed, and so I just wanted to do something honorable to really just like because she was always the first person that I would give like my CD to when I would get done with it.
Oh, okay.
And this was the first project I wasn't able to pass to her, and so I had to make sure that this was that this was it. You know, that like, and so I put my heart and soul into this project. I really laid it all on the line.
It was special. Yep, definitely. Now, one of the producers we didn't really. You mentioned that he's on the album, but also have a long time friendship with, and that's Drugs Beats.
Yes, Drugs is dope. he now how I met him. He was in this beat battle back in it was back in 2011, actually around in the
Okay.
same time I met Ninth Wonder. I met
Wow.
Drugs Ninth Wonder actually because me and Case were invited as special guests to this beat battle called a Gladiator Beat Battle, and we was invited by Ninth and Vince from Jamla, and Ninth actually went on Twitter and he had called out Drugs and was like, "Drugs, you need to come get in this Gladiator Beat Battle." And so, and I think this was even before Drugs might even totally had moved to North Carolina because he originally from Georgia, and so he went up there, and I just remember he played this Michael Jackson sample. I think he sampled "Beat It" and just smashed it. And I mean, people in the venue was like at all. Like, I mean, my jaw dropped. So afterwards, there was this after party that we went to, and we was invited by Jamla to this after party, and we go there, and I remember that's when I first got to talk to Mez, and that's when me and Mez actually put together, because me and Mez have a collaboration that we did that's on my Soul of a Mac album back in 2011, and but I met Drugs there, and and we got to talking and chopping it up, and then we became Facebook friends, and we was like, hey, let's do a project. And Poe Mack on Drugs it came about, and like we have a chemistry.
Yeah.
And so like he sent the records, and I put the raps on them, and then it just took off from there. Like and like anytime me and him get together, like it's automatic chemistry.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite collaborations the two of you've done too. That one I always come back to that one.
That was a fun record. Like, well, all the records we've done were fun records to do, and they're some of my favorite songs to perform actually, because like Drugs, he got that tag when Drugs came in, and so it's yeah, nah, man, me and him got some good stuff together, fun stuff.
Now, are there any projects that you mentioned one of them that you want to put back out, but you said that this is your 27th solo project?
Yes.
Any of those projects that aren't on your Bandcamp, aside from the one you mentioned, that you might consider putting out there again?
Well, there are actually a couple, because I haven't I have one that's I had this what I call the crack series. I had Crack Grammar, Larger Than Crack, and then Crack Kills. And I have Crack Grammar up on the Bandcamp, and I'll eventually probably put Larger Than Crack up and Crack Kills. So those are a couple that I haven't re-released yet. But those and Poe Obama, I'll end up re-releasing again in the near future.
Okay.
And it was like a mixture of like rapping over some like industry instrumentals mixed with some of my own and a couple other producers that I was working with at the time. But right now, on we're working on Supreme Case, which is the name of Case Jaffa's new project coming up, and we just actually just released the first single from that, which actually has Quanstar on it, him and Rec Riddles, which we redid Verbal Intercourse, and the track's titled Rushmore, but like I took the same sample that was used for Verbal Intercourse and flipped that, and so that's the single from Case Jaffa's joint that'll be dropping next month sometime.
Okay. Cool. Now, aside from Poe Mack, who is an artist that you would like to put on from your city that people might not know of?
Good question. Actually, he's from my city, but he doesn't live here right now. But I would say probably Minix. And
Minutes.
and,
Okay.
and Minix, you can find some collaborations from us. Like if you dig in, like if you go to the maxtermental.com, which links to the Maxtermental Bandcamp,
Mm-hmm.
I have a volume 1 and volume 2 mixtape of Maxtermental, and Minix is on volume 2. He's a very, very talented rapper. He he was originally on my label in its conception, and Minix actually is a really good battle rapper too. He's had a lot of invites from King of the Dot, and he does it. Like he's a beast, but hell of a writer, man. Like just really gets down. So like that's one guy I really would like to see, like get like really out there. Like he does this thing now called Rapper Explains, where like he literally does like it's like movie reviews in a rap form.
Okay.
And so it's some cool stuff, man. So
That's nice.
yeah, if I was gonna pick somebody from my city besides anybody that I've mentioned, that he would be like he would be a guy I really like to see get out there because he's just like really talented. Like I mean, like movie script writer. Like he has all different types of talents.
Okay. And for those that haven't heard the new album Tamarack Lane, he is on track 8, The Reckoning with Quan Star.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite tracks too.
we hope to get a video shot to that soon.
Nice. That'll be dope. Yeah, that's one of my tracks right there, man.
I appreciate you.
Now, another one of my favorite tracks I'd like maybe you can delve a little bit into is Time Slipping. Tell us about that one.
Time Slipping actually almost didn't make the album.
Really?
Well, all right. I liked the beat when I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I laid the raps on it because Time Slipping was like a freestyle. Like I threw the record on and like just like freestyled the track and edited it up. And then when I listened to it, I was like, eh. But what really brought it home for me is when Yamin got a hold of the track and put the scratches on it.
Mm.
And then I was like, this is going on the album. like it was borderline for me, but he put the icing on the cake. I said, okay, it came on into the fold. So, but Time Slipping actually is the next video that I'm shooting. And then after that, like I'm shooting a video to that. After that, I'm shooting a video to He Too, and then I'm shooting a video to The Old Guy. And I actually will have Old Guy apparel coming in the next couple of months. Like I've had a lot of requests to perform The Old Guy, so like that's gonna be one that I definitely do a video to.
Nice. Cool.
But yeah, Time Slipping, like it almost didn't make the album, but like Yamin came in, hit the home run on them scratches, and like word up.
One of the key important aspects always in hip hop, the DJ,
Absolutely.
And the way you just described that story of how it wasn't going to be on the album, he went and laid it down, and then the cuts were put on there, and it had a completely different feel for it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And tell us about, there's also another multi-talented artist on there who did cuts. That's Tone Spliff. Tell us about him.
Now, Case Jaffa was the one that put me on the Tone Spliff because he was telling me, he's like, this is brother Tone Spliff. Like, he gets busy. And so he was like, you should reach out to him. So I literally just as a stranger reached out to him and it was like, hey man, like I got these records and we got to talking and communicating and he hopped on, man. Like I'm never afraid to reach out to anybody, like because you know the thing is we live in a yes or no world. That's the way I approach things. So like either somebody's gonna rock with you or they don't. And if they don't, you don't take it personal. Like you just keep it moving. But we got to talking. It clicked. Matter of fact, Tone Split did the scratches on Case Jaffa single too. So like yeah, nah, man. He's talented, and what I like about him too is that like he really pushes his stuff. Like anything he touches, he's a very excellent self promoter.
Mm.
Like promotes what he does, and I respect that. So
Yeah, I'm part of his newsletter, and when he sends his newsletter out, he gives a nice detail of what his current work is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's on point with that.
Yeah. Yep. He's worked with a lot of artists, and he's got that recent project with the Cali artist, Local Black. It's pretty good. He even did a project with someone out of my home borough of Staten Island, Solomon Childs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, what borough are you originally from?
Staten Island.
Oh, not Staten Island. Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh, that's what's up. I haven't. It's been a while since I've done a show in New York. I did. What was it? Stone Creek Lounge is where first place I performed in New York, and that was there and Fontana's,
Hmm.
and that was down in Manhattan. But that was the last time I performed in New York, which had been some years ago. But yeah, that's my familiarity. I know. The funny thing is, I was running late to a show, and I wasn't at the time. I wasn't used to a New York taxi cab ride, and now Case Jaffa, he's from Yonkers,
Mm-hmm.
like he's like my New York guide. When I go to New York, and so he's like, man, get this cab will get us there. And I mean, this cab was rolling over damn sidewalks and everything. Got us to that gig one time, but I wasn't used to that. I'm from the South, man. So
Take it easy, right?
yeah. But it was a friendly cab driver. He got us there on time, and we was there, man. And it was the show. The show was actually it was a premiere for a television show. I can't remember what it was, but I ended up meeting a lot of cool people there. Matter of fact, I met one of the guys that played in Casino. As a matter of fact, he was one of the people that was running a shop in Kansas City in Casino, and I ended up meeting him and I didn't realize he was like a real Italian brother. So he's like, Poe Mack, nice to meet you.
Nice. Now, this question is more of your musical taste. Like right now, after this interview is over, if there was an album, an EP, or just a song, just what would you pick? Like your normal go-to, just to vibe out to.
Just in general, anybody?
Yeah, anybody. Doesn't matter the genre.
I'm gonna catch you off guard with this one. I'm gonna narrow this down to a song, and then I'm gonna tell you a project.
Okay.
My favorite song is actually "Borderline" by Madonna. Like I listen to a lot of '80s music,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, I can stop what I'm doing when I hear "Borderline." I don't know what it is about the song. There's some certain nuances about the song because I've always actually wanted to find a singer and recreate "Borderline."
Okay.
But as far as like a single song, that's it. Now, as far as a go-to project, I think I really like Jay-Z's Blueprint. Like the first Blueprint.
Yeah.
Classic. Like it's a flawless album. Another album that's a go-to that I think gets slept on, even though everybody's on Nas' Illmatic and Stillmatic. I think Godson was like his most slept on album. Um, the song he has with Alicia Keys on there, Warrior Song, is one of
Yeah.
my favorite songs.
Mm.
And because that was the first thing he did after his mother died. And one of the first songs I listened to after my mother died was Warrior Song.
Oh.
Classic song. And I love Alicia Keys. So like, Nas, my favorite rapper, Alicia Keys, my favorite singer. Like, so when that dropped, I was like, oh my God. And then she killed it too. So
Yeah. Nice. With your production, is there anything in particular that you tend to gravitate to, even though you don't normally like say this is what I'm gonna pick out when you go and start with any type of beat you're about to make?
I really like gospel samples because I like being able to take the vocal stabs. Anytime I can have a chance to sample a B3 Hammond, also like because not everybody can play a B3. Like it's that's some gifted musicians can play it. As a matter of fact, 2 days ago I was sitting around with my aunt, the singer, and she was actually playing like uh, Billy Preston gospel videos to me with him getting down on the B3 hymn and that actually when we're done with this interview, one of the first things I'm going to go through is more Billy Preston samples of B3 Hammonds on my MPC Live. So yeah, like that's some of my favorite stuff to go through and sample and I mean really there's nothing that I won't touch like because I can sit down and just hear something, and sometimes when you just hear something, you just hear it. Like it's just like hey, this could be this.
Mhm.
Like matter of fact, I was sitting down one day. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and her mother was had on She-Ra. Now you remember She-Ra?
Yeah.
Like they remade She-Ra, and
Hmm.
the theme song to it like just caught me one day, and I was like, I'm gonna sample that. Like, and so like I heard that and just put that together, and it's cool sampling stuff around my daughter that she hears. She's 3, but she's a very aware 3 years old, and so like she'll hear something and be like Daddy, you gonna make a beat out of that? So it's pretty cool to share those experiences with her.
That's cool. Is there anything that your daughter likes to see you do when it comes to making the music? Anything in particular?
She really likes to just see me make beats and like and she funny that like I had to clean up my language on my music because she started like listening and like actually singing the songs,
Yeah.
and so like that's where like I was like okay I had to clean up my language on my music, but she actually knows he too word for word, and so that's pretty cool to hear her sing the chorus to he too. I'm like wow, like and so I'd be like Daddy play my song Daddy, and and like I had I don't know if you heard my project Aaliyah's Day,
Yes.
but Aaliyah's Day she knows like a lot of stuff from Aaliyah's Day too because it's named after her. So
Hmm.
so she she's always like play Aaliyah's Day.
That's great. Does she play any instruments?
Well she has her like toy instruments that like
Hmm.
anytime I'm
That's the
making
start.
anytime I'm making beats, she has this crate of instruments that she'll go pull out and start playing her drums and her harmonica at the same time. And actually have her in a music class. It's called Melody Makers that I take her to on Thursdays, where it gives her a chance to like, artistically express herself.
There you go. That's beautiful.
And so she's in there.
Yep.
I was like, Lord, I'm gonna keep this girl from the business, but it might be the inevitable. I just don't want her to have to go through the BS that I've gone through. So, like, I'm very protective of her.
Well, she's gonna have a good teacher.
Well, hopefully, I've made a lot of mistakes, but like I was saying, back in the beginning of this interview, like mistakes are our best teachers, man.
Exactly. Yep. Cool. Now, this question is, what would be your dream album? Like MCs that you might want to work with, or somebody who would even like to produce for?
Fonte,
Conte. Okay. I'm not
um,
mad at that.
the most underrated MC on planet Earth. Like because Fonte on his A game, I think can rap almost anybody under the table. And Fonte is like the only member of the original Justice League that I've never actually met and worked with in some capacity.
Hmm.
Like literally everybody else I had, like from me and Pooh got a track together, me and Ninth, Cesar Comanche, cool with Joe Scudder, I can go down the line, but me and Fonte never actually had linked on anything. So that's like one brother that like Fonte. But if we talk about multiple MCs, I would say Fonte, Superstition's dope.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Incredible. That EP that he did
Mm.
most recently,
Yeah.
I tell you, that EP actually inspired a couple of projects for me. Because I was on the road listening to it, and I was like, oh my God, like this dude's describing my life right now. So it's really cool that I got to work with him on this track coming up on this Cesar Comanche joint project that we got, because that was first work that I really got to do with Superstition. And so as a producer, but I really honestly want to produce something for him.
Yeah. Mm.
And so yeah, Fonte, Superstition, yeah.
That would be even nice with them just be the two MCs in all your production.
Oh
Mm.
yeah. Like,
That would be crazy.
yeah, no, they're nuts, man. Like Fonte's wordplay is nuts. Like one of my actually favorite tracks with him too is he King Mez. Mez's EP that he did with Crisis called King's Crisis
Hmm.
back like 10 years ago. He had a
I
collab
gotta
with
revisit
Fonte on
that.
that. Like Fonte got on there and smashed it. And so that was one of my favorite tracks. The cool thing is when I was going down and chilling in Bright Lady Studios with Ninth and Jamla, like I got to hear a lot of Fonte's cuts before they even like dropped. So that was like me, that was as a kid in the candy shop. I'm like, oh my God, this is one of my favorite MCs. And I remember at the time, like I was blown away because like I remember the door opens and they're like, Ninth's like, oh yeah, he's like he said Poe Mack, meet oh man, who was it? Oh man, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on this.
Want me to throw some names out there?
It was oh my God, I can't believe
Sean,
what you say?
Median, Sean
No,
Bulls.
it wasn't medium. It was because it wasn't a Justice League cat. It was
Oh, okay.
oh man, I can't remember who it was, but man, I had it on the tip of my tongue and I drew a blank on it. but it was cool. Like I remember I was sitting there and Raekwon emailed a verse through. I was sitting there, so I was like, getting to see like a lot of cool stuff, man.
Wow, that's great, man. I'm telling you that so many artists could write books off of just things that they experienced.
Yeah,
It's amazing, man.
definitely.
So 2011 seemed like a very that was a pinnacle for you
Yeah,
that
yeah.
year.
And the crazy thing is like how things come full circle because I'm literally still benefiting from things that happened in 2011
Mm-hmm.
that I'm making a living from now. So that definitely was like a pivotal time.
Quanstar said MERS.
No, actually, it wasn't man. Oh my god, I'm trying to think who it was. Oh, oh man, I can't believe I drew a blank on this. It was oh, and I'm probably gonna think of it as afterwards and be kicking
You're gonna
myself.
remember later. Uh huh.
Yeah. I almost text Case and asked him.
You'll
But
probably remember, right?
yeah.
Yep. Definitely, man. So yes, I appreciate you taking the time out tonight, to speak with us about not only just the new album, but all of your work, the
Yeah,
talents, the talents that come from Poe Mack, because more people need to know what you have out there and what you're capable of. And it was great hearing you speak about your family because they gave you more than one aspect of music and the industry and being able to understand the business side of selling your own merch.
yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on and just letting me share my experiences, man. Like it was really cool, man, and I just appreciate you.
Thank you. And on behalf of the rest of our HHDG media peoples, KB, Skeletop, T. Smith, and the mayor, we're going to go out and say peace.
Peace.
Now, for Poe Mack, tell the people where they can go and support you and
Uh,
check for any of your new work.
um, Maxtermental.com. Uh, you can get anything from my label, MACKSTRUMENTAL. I had to look at that on the bottom of my screen because there's a lot of letters. But yeah, Maxtermental.com. I do have PoeMack.com as well, where it's just centered around my stuff, where you can get beats, uh, my music. And for anybody that just wanted to like Google Poe Mack, POE, last name MACK, it'll bring up like a lot of like videos and different things that I've done. And so yeah, like either one of those, I'm on all digital platforms. Um, Bandcamp comes more directly to the pocket for anybody for Bandcamp users. But any form digital platform people use, I just appreciate people listening to the music and supporting it, and I appreciate it all.
Good to hear. And he also has some of his projects on vinyl and CDs if you're interested.
Yeah, and I'll tell people this: any project that you want on vinyl, I will make it happen. So like
There you go.
you something you like, man, I want this on vinyl, I will make it happen. Special order.
Nice. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for letting us interview you.
Hey, thank you, man. God bless.
All right. You have a good night, man.
Hey, you too, brother.
Thank you.
Peace.